gentlemen, Your Excellencies, stick with us. We're going to be having a longer conversation. You're right here. A little bit of a longer conversation about not just the mineral industry, but what could potentially be called its toxic reputation and how folks on every step of the value chain can change that narrative. I want to welcome to the stage our speakers, His Excellency Khaled Al-Mudaffar. He is the Vice Minister of Mining Affairs, of course, for the Ministry of Industry and Mineral Resources. I'm also welcoming Chris Mayberry, the Deputy Chairman for the Bermuda Commercial Bank, Dr. Doris Hayam Galvez, the author of Designing Sustainable Prosperity, and Silly Krukow, Nudge and Behavior Design Expert for Transformative Solutions Consulting. Panelists, welcome.
Well,
good to see
you are
you
a panelist this time.
Yes, the luxury.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Oh, at last you got us.
So we've got several different kinds of perspectives on this stage. One of them, like myself, a journalist, and I think David, I might even throw the question first to you. When we talk about perspectives of the mining industry, toxic is a word that I hear often. Poor reputation is the title of this panel. In your mind, how bad is it?
Gosh, well, look, toxic, dirty, and dull. So I might as well spell it out. I think that's how many people would see it. It's absolutely true that within the media, particularly within the news and current affairs perspective, we are going to draw on the problems. That's sort of part of what we exist for, to look for the challenges. And historically, and even today, there are plenty of challenges, and no one in this forum is disputing that. What I think is interesting is how you perceive your own sector, because I've heard some amazing presentations, and I'm inspired by what you get here. You've got an amazing story. I mean, an extraordinary story. And I think it was Mark Cutifani who was spelling out, you know, minerals are the root of everything. Yeah. Everything we do and everything we've got. And why does that not become the story? Yeah. And sorry, just to finish off, and that's about you pushing that story. You can't expect the media to say, actually, let's look for something else in mining. It simply won't work that way. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's a long, slow process. I was thinking, just one very quick example, Statoil. A company called Statoil realized that that was not a name that was working very well for them. They're now Equinor. Well, people almost now don't remember Statoil. It's taken a journey of, 10, 15 years or so. So it's a slow process, but it's up to the sector to try and drive that change. That's what I would say.
Your Excellency, if you want to pick up on that, I mean, just from the sector's perspective and from a government perspective, as David says, obviously the mineral sector is providing enormous opportunities for Saudi Arabia, particularly with regards to employment and to women's employment. So there is a good story to tell.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, David, for being frank as such. And the reputation we do have is not good. And David is right. And if you put into Google mining, you will get whatever you will get, maybe. However, mining and minerals is needed. The physical part of minerals, from a home to a car to a phone to whatever we have, is to have a good life and a quality of life, you need minerals. And on the other side, Saudi Arabia is in a better shape because we started late, so we have the late advantage, and we learned from all the legacies, the good ones and the bad ones, and we started well. And we are served because we have a young generation that are tech savvy, and we are using more technology, more scale, and we don't have much of illegal mining. But I wanted to also follow up on David's point. We need all the stakeholders to work together. It wouldn't be only the industry. They need the industry, the policy makers, the inspection need to be right and good, but also the educational system and other things. In Saudi Arabia, we have mining here as a welcome industries. The application We opened a new mining engineering school, and the application is almost 3 times the capacity compared to other jurisdictions where there is 60% drop in the. I wanted to hear more from the panelists, so I stop here.
I think it's a great time to pick up on this with Dr. Hayam Galvez, because this is what you do for a living. Is there hope? Can we turn this reputation around?
Absolutely. And I think we have to think beyond mining. As the Excellency said, we have to work all together for the benefit of the region. So if we shift our attention from mining-centric, and we put ourselves in a target position, guilty of everything, the regional prosperity, and therefore we genuinely address the needs of the people and the environment. But we have to build our reputation. So if we can prove that we are doing good measurably and transparently, we have no case to make. So how can we demonstrate that we're actually doing things differently from the past?
Yeah. So when you think about what happens next, so often we hear the younger generations bemoaning the state of the world with good reason. They're very worried about climate. They're very worried about the move to the green energy transition. And yet at the same time, there seems to be a failure to link critical minerals, mining, with the cell phone and the AI that they are so consistently interested in using. In your mind, how do you connect the two? Because it doesn't seem as if there is a connection at this point. Lucille.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Well, I think to me it's all about figuring out how do we actually take the overall goals that we have within sustainability, within safety, and become very specific on what does that mean from a behavioral point of view. And we start addressing the human elements of the mining industry and figuring out when we cut that into micro actions, how do we change everyday operations amongst workers in mines so that we deliver on these different targets? And luckily, applied behavioral science offer a lot of different ways of doing that, so we can build trust and transparency towards the consumers by actually demonstrating how do we measurably reach these targets, and thereby we avoid greenwashing, graywashing, all these different things that we want to avoid when building trust around an industry.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, though, it's a tough one because, Chris, as clean as we make it, it's still a bit dirty. Like, there's no getting around it. How do you craft that kind of message? Tell the hard truths. Tough.
I think that you don't think when you get a bit of chicken on the table what happens before you get that chicken to the table. So I think that overall, is it for the greater good? I also think that the excitement that can be generated by the realization that the change that we all talk about and the change that our children want to have is going to require more mining than ever. And also the excitement with the child that when you say this does not come from Amazon, this comes from 22 critical minerals from the ground, and they suddenly realize what that means. I think we've got to be better at actually showing what the products of mining can do, as opposed to talking about mining itself.
Yeah. I mean, when we just talk about AI specifically, we're talking about in 1 year a $50 billion business to a $200 billion business. We've seen that reflected in the market cap of multiple companies. And you think about this, David, we do tend to look at the critical stories, if you will, and it's not always positive press. But as a journalist, where do you see the highlights here?
Well, actually, partly there, because I think the end users absolutely max out on the glory of what they've produced. And actually, you've produced it. It's an irony, really. So it's about really shifting the emphasis and recognizing that is your story as well. You can't pretend that there is a simple way of saying illegal mining, slave working, child workers, all these issues will just go away because we'll focus on the nice things. That's not reality, and we know that. But you can emphasize where the strengths are. And I think one way to do that, I think, in our modern world is, and this is not my idea, I pinched it from outside, but where are the influencers in the mining sector? Where are the youngsters who bring in millions of followers who can help you to do it? Because they're the ones who will sell the story. The best will in the world is not the guy in the hard hat anymore. And it's not a picture of a conveyor belt with rocks on it or a great big digger that's going to do that. So I think it's a mind shift to me in terms of communicating. You talk about reputation. You've got to communicate it once you've got it. So, you know, it can be done.
Yeah.
It's slow and it's challenging. And I think, as His Excellency was saying, this takes everybody. This is all stakeholders have to sort of coalesce around this sort of approach, I think.
Your Excellency, with regards to Saudi Arabia in particular, obviously, you know, the pendulum in many ways has swung. I think when you look at this country and all of the achievements that have been made just in the last few years towards Vision 2030 on multiple metrics, in your mind, what more can Saudi Arabia do specifically to tell that story?
To tell the story of the transformation we do have.
Because as someone quite famously said, if you don't like the story, you know, change the narrative.
But we have a great story, and I think we had a journey, we had transformation, we had turned ambition into action, we turned the vision into impact, and we turned the potential into a remarkable achievements. And this is not only in the mining and minerals, while most of the people here are interested in that, but in the all the sectors. The vision have focused on sectors that have been neglected in the past. Mining and mineral is one of them. And now you have seen it, we are on the map, not only mining Saudi Arabia, but also on the map around the world. We have the whole world in the Future Mineral Forum. And annually this year, we have 18,000 in the present. Registration is 26,000. We couldn't take them in this facility, and we're sorry for some of them because the place and the crowds and the safety where we did not allow more than 18,000.
You had to turn them away at the door.
So, but there is a live broadcasting from here, and they can listen to it. So this is, and also 2/3 of them is from outside Saudi Arabia, and mining is new. So the transformation Saudi Arabia has delivered, and because we like most people or countries to feel what we are having, the joy and the pleasure and the proudness, we are proud of the transformation Saudi Arabia has done through the Vision 2030. We want to share the experience with everybody. And mining is one of them, and that's what we are doing here, and we're doing in the Future Mineral Forum. And because I think one point that I'm lucky with all this communication expertise here to learn from them, but mineral brings developments, and Saudi Arabia chose mining for an economic play, to develop remote areas, to create jobs for young generation, 65%. Our major advantage is young generation. And therefore, and many of the super region, what we call super region, Africa, Central Asia, Middle East, are in need of development like Saudi Arabia. And mining is one sector that can bring that development, can bring jobs, can bring creation of, and also development like infrastructure, roads, water, power can come to remote areas, not only jobs. But when you build homes and houses, wherever you are, you either take it from a tree or from a bit. And when you live where, you have to have another bit for waste materials in there. And these cannot be hidden. So you have to take material from the grounds, and you have to have a bit for the waste you are making. The waste you out of homes have to go somewhere. You cannot say, I want to throw it in the neighboring country or the neighboring. So this, how we tell the story of Saudi Arabia, we chose the Future Mineral Forum to be one of the channels, or one part of it is to tell the story we have and to attract more people because we need the expertise, the skills that we do not have in the mining sector, but around the world. We built our oil and gas on partnership. We built our petrochemical industry in the partnership. And now we want to build the third pillar with a partnership because we know that collaboration and cooperation is a pillar for building anything that is great and proud of. And since this is the last session, I see the ticks of the minutes. I'm worried that you do not come back to me. I'm really sad this session is the last session because I will be missing all those great people that we learn from them. Some of them are in the panel. Some of them we heard on. Some of them we recorded their talks for the rest of the year to hear. The good news that we will have another one after 1 year, so we invite you all for the next year Future Mineral Forum, and I promise you the great people that are in this panel and the other panel will be here, and more similar people will be in. So thank you very much for the time you spent, the impact you made, and the contribution you have delivered. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris, I'd love to hear your perspective on the younger generation, because I know that you're working on multiple programs to educate young people about this disconnect.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to be negative, but I think our generation is a lost cause for actually believing that mining is anything other than coal miners coming up with a lamp on. You know, that's the image. So let's forget that. And what we've done at Beacon Events, of which I'm chairman, where we hold mining events around the world, His Excellency and the team come to many of them, is we've done something called Next Gen. So if we failed with this generation, how can we win the next generation? And we have 3 levels of Next Gen, from the youngsters, and by the way, this is thousands of youngsters, supported by a lot of the companies who are here, really got involved. So the primary school children will get to the events, they'll crawl on the material, they'll be excited by the screens and the displays, and we'll give them a bag of swag to go at the end of the day. And so, you know, they're suddenly interested in what's going on there. At high school, we're getting specialists and executives from the companies to go into the schools with disciplined programs to actually show what mining means, to educate them, and to excite them. Because from our point of view, I think there are 2 things that we need to get in at the highest level. The first is the future. You want a future, you want a green future, then you better understand mining. And the second thing is, it's really interesting. There are cool jobs, there are all sorts of stuff going on. AI can't work without it, your phone can't work without it, electrification can't work without it. Where do you think that the power comes from in the sea when you've got a wind turbine? You know, so I think, you know, it's really cool stuff. And the third level is, at the college level, it's real careers help. Mock interviews with real HR resources from mining companies and helping them to assist to get placed in the industry. And this is something we'd like to grow, and it's something we passionately believe in, because without starting those group levels, at the youngest level, from primary school children, we can't change the future. And Socrates said, to educate a child, you light a flame, you don't fill the vessel. Let's light the flame, let's make them interested, let's let them know what we're doing, and then the rest will happen. But it'll take time. As David said, it will take time.
Yeah. Dr. Chaim Galvez, I want to ask you this from the big picture. Just a couple of years ago during the COP28, we saw a lot of pushback from the environmental community on Abu Dhabi because they invited members of the mineral community. They invited the petroleum community into that conference and said, hey, listen, if we want to make a deal, we've got to do it with the people who have the technology to get us there. And at the same time, while they were quite successful, there was still a great deal of global pushback. How do you change the narrative with regards to the climate community? Because it seems as if we are all looking towards a green energy transition, we should all get on the same page.
Yes, thank you. I think we have to go beyond being the extraction, seen as extracting minerals, into being contributors to a better future. And become a catalyst, a neighbor of a regional prosperity during mining, so that there is a level of economic activity that stays long beyond mining has ended. So if we do this, genuinely from day one, in collaboration with all stakeholders, co-create the future. There's trust is built, transparency, and the buy-in. So there is no need, because people have to realize by themselves that we are good and we're doing good, not telling them.
Yeah.
It's like selling, yeah,
Right.
we're good now, you have to like us. There's no way.
You have a sophisticated audience. The adverts just
So
don't work. Yeah.
working together, co-creating together for the benefit of all. So we can become a catalyst for something much greater
Yeah.
to enable a future that's sustainable and equitable.
Silly, talk to us about the behavioral aspect of this, because this is fascinating. Just on a micro level, what have you seen that has worked?
So basically what we see is that if we really want to make a change, there is no quick fix, of course, so we need all of these great initiatives. But I think it's very important to say that you can create a lot of consumer awareness or awareness in the mining industry about a certain behavior, but that doesn't mean we're going to see results. If we want to see results, we got to start working with what we call the choice architecture. We got to start designing our supermarkets, our everything from where we buy our cell phones, our cell phone products, like everything that consists of these minerals. And we also have to design the whole mining industry, the operations. So it corresponds with basic human instincts, because we need to realize that the human brain is very lazy. So for example, when we work in the gold and mine industry and work with workplace safety, for example, we see that simple interventions like adding visual imagery of work gloves increase the number of times that workers actually put on their PPE, which again increases their compliance with safety protocol by up to 50%. And on the other side, on the consumer side, we see that around 75% of young people, they want to comply with sustainability targets, but they don't do it on a practical level. So we need to start redesigning our world from a holistic approach and figure out what are the main stakeholders, how do we design their behavior more effectively.
Yeah. David, when you hear these suggestions, just from a story-led perspective, are we on the right track?
I think there are two things. One was something that the New York Times managing editor said to me about 18 months ago, which was to do with climate change, and it was fatigue. You know, the bad stories are tiring.
Yeah.
And so it was incumbent on him to go out and find the positive stories with regard to climate and adaptation and mitigation and the like. The same applies to this. Find the good stories, sell the good stories. There are plenty of them. And the other point, which I think is really interesting and important, is get it in the mainstream. You know, we're all tucked away in the minerals world here, and most of the discussion is in the minerals world. I don't have the answer to exactly how to do it. It may be through podcasts with people who talk normal language. In this sector, like every sector, it's not normal language. It's a very special language.
It's a niche
very
vocabulary.
niche.
Yeah.
Get it out in the mainstream. Find ways of doing it. Find people who can communicate. I'm not building a strategy. It's a tactic, really. But communicators can help in a way that perhaps we look internally at what we're doing and feel defensive when it doesn't go right. Get others to help us to do that.
Yeah.
Just wanted to add to that, but communicating maybe not enough, but maybe we can have a different purpose. Rather than maybe de-risking the future, contributors to the sustainable future or something, so that everything we do is around that. So change our story.
Yeah, and you didn't mention mining, and you didn't mention minerals in that,
Yeah.
and that's important, actually.
But have the people to realize by themselves, rather than us telling, because we are doing a lot of telling, and it's not working.
Yeah. And if I can just add, I just want to emphasize that communication and awareness is not going to drive behavior change. That's only going to get us 10% of the way.
Yeah.
If we want to go the 90 and 95% of the way, we got to start talking to the instincts by designing everything we touch and feel on a daily basis differently, just so we don't rely everything on influencers and communication and the right narratives, because yeah, it just doesn't change behavior. That's what we see anyway.
Yeah.
Fair.
Your Excellency, I hope you've learned a little bit.
So, but this reputation is a very important. The reputation and the discussion between David and Doris and us is really important. The industry has to work hard onto it. There is a great example, I think, by the ICMM, by the transparency reporting, letting people see the right pictures and giving good examples by the industry. And I think there is a great hope in technology. That's why if you have time, and you didn't this time, but we have maybe 30%, 40% of the discussion is in technology and technology contribution, and we have the tech zone and the tech hub, because we are late. We have missed maybe 100 years in the industry, and we have an opportunity that technology brings, the AI, but also robotics, quantum in the future, and other type of technology will make mining safer, better, and will make it less environmentally impactful, and that will also attract young generation to this industry, that the people, the technology, the jewelry, all the industry would need to have the quality of life we want. And the more affluent and the more prosperous country is and homes are, they would need more minerals.
No doubt.
So how we contribute to this, but how we do it in a sustainable manner, in an environmentally friendly manner, is something I think technology will provide for. And we brought a number of you, Hadley and David, so to know more about mining. Hopefully you will say something good about us.
Chris, I want to ask you, to your mind, are we going to see a solution found in AI? So the things that we're powering, will they give us these solutions?
No, AI creates more of a problem.
Yes.
It needs 10 times more power, and it will become more endemic. And so we better get better at the solutions so that we can have AI.
Yeah. Dr. Hayam.
We have to first understand what problem we're trying to solve, what questions are we trying to address, what hypotheses are we trying to test, and have clarity on what we will do if we use AI. You know, right now, for example, we have buried with data, and we even complicate it. So I use the Picasso ball to describe this. You know, first a simple ball, and it becomes a monster, exaggerated. And then start looking at the patterns to carry the main meaning, and simplify until you really have a good idea of what you want to do. Because AI and the others, they are only looking at relationships within variables and making predictions, but you have to know what you want to do with it before you do it.
I was just going to say, and I'm probably like most people, AI to me is, I mean, what's it going to mean next month?
Yes.
No, I don't know. It's going to be different. I don't see into the future, and it's going to be massive. That's all I'm told, and I understand that.
Well, it's going to put us out of a job, apparently.
Well, hopefully it'll last. We'll get a couple more years out of us, but maybe that's all it's going to be. But I think what's really important is the points about behavioral change and attitude, and a sort of reinventing, not quite the wheel, but a reinvention in a sense of what mining and minerals means in this world, then leads into communicating it. That's what I would say. And I think what's great is that we're talking about it here on this panel. And this is a forum, Your Excellency, we've gone from ambition to action and impact, and I think this is a really important message. This is part of a start to say, yes, we can, if I can use another cliche, but things can change.
Yeah.
But I want to comment on the AI. I disagree on AI will consume more power, and we need to generate more power to do so. But it also provides for solution. We will use, there's great utilization of AI in the processing. And there is example of less water, less energy used in the consuming sector through targeting, using AI and doing a target solution rather than a build solution. So yes, it will consume more power. We have to generate more power, and hopefully we will do with the green power, renewable. The more renewable, the more we are happier, because the more demand for minerals will be there. And therefore, but I think still technology and all type of technology and quantum is a great promising to solve problems that was not solvable in the past. And I am optimistic for the world of more, using more technologies to solve the problem we have. But in the mineral sector, I think the best example, we are in the mineral age. We need more mineral. We are not a good user of technology. We need more technology. We need talents, and talent do not like mining. So with more technology utilization, we'll attract more talents, more young guys. And I'm sure young guys with tech savvy and well trained will be better than us, at least better than me, to find the great solutions.
Your Excellency, panelists, I want to thank you so much for joining us here at the Future of Minerals Forum Day 2. Ladies and gentlemen, Excellencies, thank you.
Thank you.